It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on kind of a cloudy, overcast Friday in Nashville, Tennessee. As you can tell, we are at our digs at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. A lot of people in here today. Big tournament of 9 and 10-year-olds, and some of these kids can really play. I met a family earlier today from up in the New Jersey and Philadelphia area. Man, these kids learn early. There are some kids out here who can really get it done. Kelly will return. He'll rejoin us on Monday. And today, if you're a basketball fan, this is a show you're going to want to see. In just a few moments, former Tennessee star Mark Griffin for his weekly Friday visit. Then at 3 o'clock, Martin Newton, who is the athletic director at Samford University, his father, of course, the late, great C.M. Newton. Martin is on the NCAA selection committee. I'm taking a guess here because I don't know, and I'm going to ask him. I think that Martin and C.M. become the second ever father-son duo to ever be on the committee. Billy, I'm thinking that Dave Gavitt and Dave Gavitt Jr. may have been on that committee at some point. Gotcha.
Is there a Steve Gavitt as well, or?
I don't think so.
Okay. Not familiar with the Gavitts, but
the Gavitts were big college basketball power brokers in the 80s. The father, kind of one of the people that helped put together the Big East. The old Big East in the 80s was Georgetown, which was killing it under John Thompson and Patrick Ewing. St. John's, which had Walter Barry and Chris Mullen. Syracuse, Pearl Washington, Derek Coleman. Villanova, Raleigh Massimino, and that group that won it all in 85. In 85, the Big East had 3 of the 4 teams in the Final Four, which was held at Rupp Arena. You know who the other one was?
No.
Memphis State.
Memphis State.
Yep. 2 years later, I knew a whole lot more about that.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's our
little history lesson.
Yeah, and then Greg Pogue's going to join us at the very end, near the end, around 3:20. Today, he retired as a sports talk show host.
Yeah, sad day for Nashville. I mean, no more Pogue in the mornings.
No, I don't believe that. I think Pogue, I don't think we've heard the end of Pogue.
No, I'm with you on that. Still doing TSU.
Yes.
Sports, football, basketball.
Heavily involved in the arena football deal.
Yep. So he'll still be out there. You'll still be hearing Pogue's voice.
Oh, yeah.
Even if he's not on a radio station.
So where are we beginning today?
We're beginning with Caitlin Clark fever. Did you see any of that last night?
No.
To be honest, I didn't. Because it was on.
I went to the Preds game. We're going to talk about that.
Unfortunately, you did.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark has done it. She scored a career high and program record 49 points to break Kelsey Plum's record for most career points in women's NCAA history. Plum set the mark in 2017, so fairly recently.
These are not 6-foot jumpers she's hitting.
No, her shot
she's hitting. I saw the shot
was from about 30 feet out. I mean,
she's a little Steph Curry.
Yeah. And unfortunately, their games, they play a lot of their games on Peacock, and a lot of them aren't nationally televised. So it's kind of tough luck for them. I mean, I'm sure they'll be on ESPN eventually. I think they have maybe a couple of times, but she is unbelievable. I mean, I don't think there's ever, you could even go into the men's ranks. I mean, obviously Jimmer Fredette, but I mean, she's a player, a rare breed of player that, she transcends the sport.
What she is doing is picking that sport up.
Yes.
And just lifting it to heights that, I'll be honest, I'm not sure I ever dreamed we would see. I mean, everywhere she goes, she's become a rock star. On the road, the price tickets has gone insane.
Yeah. I mean,
she's selling out these big 17, 18,000 seat arenas.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I heard something this morning that she has put the women's game into color, a lot like Magic Johnson did.
Yeah.
At the college level, from black and white to color. This is what she's doing. I mean, she is putting eyes. I don't think watched a ton of women's basketball, but come March now, along with other stars, Juju Watkins at USC is another stud that she has helped put more eyes on women's basketball.
What really has gone on, if we're honest about it, the TV networks used to put the women's games on Sunday.
Yes.
And now it's sort of seeping into some Thursday as well.
Night. Yeah. Which I think was a good move. Tennessee and South Carolina were last night.
By the way, these kids behind you, they're dying to get on television. So, tilt the camera for a minute.
No.
I'll give them a little airtime. Wow, the Grinch who stole Christmas.
I'm not getting attacked like I did last time.
We're not asking you to get attacked.
I mean, this isn't Cameron Indoor.
Why is the kid from Philly wearing a Dodger hat? The hell's that about?
Who knows? Anyway, Caitlin Clark has broken the NCAA scoring record, so congratulations to her.
Absolutely.
Last night, Preds got destroyed. 9-2. Matt Duchesne, former Pred, had a couple of goals against his former team. And, George, I got some stats for you.
Okay.
Last 11 games for the Preds, they're 3-7-1.
Yes.
7 points out of 22 possible points. So they're not scoring. They're not getting any assists. 2 goals scored per game, which is not a great number. 4 goals allowed per game. And they went from the top wild card spot to 4 points out all of a sudden. I think this team is a seller.
So what happened last night is disgraceful, and they know it. They weren't ready to play, and anybody and everybody in that arena knew it.
Yep.
I will say this for the crowd. They were incredibly forgiving. The Predators should have gotten the crap booed out of them.
Yeah, did they not get booed at all?
Not really. At the end of the first and second periods, I was shocked.
A little bit of that is out of respect for Barry Trotz?
No.
Or was it not even the best crowd?
I don't. No, I mean, it was pretty good. I think for the first time that you have to openly question why Andrew Burnett, who all of us want to see succeed, former Pred from the earliest days of this franchise, this team shows up at home not ready to play on too many nights. And these last 2 have been very obvious. Had UC not stood on his head, Tuesday night would have been 9-2.
Yeah.
Last night was 9-2, a complete embarrassment. And I don't know why this team can't get ready to play. I mean, right now is when they know Barry Trotz has got to make decisions. Well, frankly, they made the decisions for him over the last 48 hours. And now the question is, because I'm sure Barry's pissed. Look, I've known him a long time. You could have fried an egg on him, I'm sure, on his head going out of that arena last night. And I'm sure that he's had a very pointed conversation with Andrew Burnett, basically saying, this isn't going to fly.
After the game, Andrew Burnett said, we're having trouble getting our mind around what's important. and that's hockey. It's not everything else that goes around hockey. Our mind has to be on the game. It can't be on our vacations.
Yeah, I don't know what he meant by that, but clearly there is something that he meant by it.
Yeah.
And, that they've come off a 10-day period where, with the All-Star break.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. I mean,
yeah,
they can't be tired. I mean, are they?
No, it's a really bad look.
It is, and it feels like a turning point in this season.
So now the question is, okay, we know what the pieces are that are likely to be moved with this one elephant in the room, and that's UC Saros.
Yeah,
because he's the one that can bring the haul that ultimately could get them over some humps.
Yeah.
But Andrew Brunette, regardless of what Barry Trotz can or can't do at the deadline, he's got to get this locker room behind him, because what went on the last 2 home games is ridiculous.
Yeah, Michael McCarron signed a 2-year, $1.8 million extension that'll begin next season. So that was, I think a lot of people maybe thought a move might happen today. I don't know if they expected that one, but you could see UC Saros potentially moved here in the next
I think it's
weeks.
Possible, yeah.
So Preds struggle. They got Saturday. You got to play tomorrow
in St. Louis,
and
they damn well better.
That one could
better
have
a look as though they want to play.
Yeah.
Because look, if you could have seen how many people left that arena last night at the end of the second period, it was bad.
What was it after the end of the second period?
7-2.
That's awful. College baseball starts today. Vanderbilt and FAU actually in action right now. Vandy leads 6-0 in the 4th inning. And then you got tonight a good one, Tennessee and Texas Tech. It's on Flow Sports, so good luck watching it. But it's up over in Arlington. So college baseball already. I'm with you, George. I think it starts too early.
Oh, it's absurd.
And I think I heard from somebody that they have pushed it back basically a whole month since they used to start in March.
Yeah.
And now it's all the way up in February. But I think a lot of it is because of the draft. They don't want to. They moved it up to kind of aid that, and now I guess World Series goes on, and you get the draft. It used to be super regionals, so I think that's a reason why.
Whatever.
It's
way too early.
In the NFL, Jimmy Garoppolo has gotten a 2-game ban for violating the NFL's performance-enhancing substances policy. The policy violation is said to be related to him using a prescribed medication without having a valid therapeutic use exemption from the league. Garoppolo will not appeal the suspension, and he'll miss the first 2 games of next season.
Wow.
So kind of a
That's
tough,
a surprise.
His career, I don't want to say going downhill, but certainly not where he was a few years ago.
No, and
after appearing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So kind of tough for him. We'll see. He's still in Vegas, correct?
He's on their roster as far as I know.
Obviously not their guy, but we'll see if he gets moved at all. We got Griff coming up, talking some hoops. Texas A&M at Alabama tomorrow. That'll be a big one. See if A&M can bounce back from their loss at Vandy. That's an 11 a.m. tip. Kentucky is at Auburn. College game day at Neville Arena tomorrow morning. That's at 5. Vanderbilt at Tennessee, also at 5 o'clock. And Vanderbilt playing Tennessee on the women's side of things as well on Sunday. And Vanderbilt is on the bubble right now. Tennessee is firmly in the tournament. But I think Vanderbilt needs that one on Sunday to get their women's team in. So big one on Sunday for them. But, George, that's pretty much all I got.
Well, there's one story that we've got to get to real quickly. 2 juveniles charged with crimes connected to the mass shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl rally. Authorities announcing as the city tries to recover in the aftermath of the violence. I hope that whatever the law allows gets thrown at these 2.
It should. That's
okay.
Pitiful.
Mark Griffin after the break. We got a lot to get to. Stick around.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Let me see if I got this right. We are, I think I'm right about this, 4 weeks away on Sunday from the releasing of the Field of 68.
And tomorrow, the first reveal. Obviously not the final, but the first initial look at it.
We'll ask Martin Newton about it.
Oh, yeah.
When he joins us at 3. First, we say hello to former University of Tennessee star Mark Griffin from his palatial mansion. Mark, how are you?
Great, George. Great to be on the show. Hey, Billy.
Hey, Mark.
So, Mark, I put something out yesterday, and of course, Billy looked at me like I was crazy. I made the comment that John Calipari and Bruce Pearl absolutely despise each other, and one of those two coaches admitted it to me. And, of course, Billy immediately says, Bruce Pearl. Then I said, I didn't say that. So what is the point of contention between the two? Is it old Tennessee and Kentucky stuff, or does it go back to Pearl and Iowa?
Well, it definitely goes back in the past. I don't know exactly, George, but I'm sure it has to. I'm going to assume it has to do with recruiting battle in the past at some point. And both have pretty big egos, let's face it, and very outspoken individuals, very proud individuals, and both very good coaches. So I just think maybe it's something behind the scene between those two. You got a lot of egos, and people know what to say when they're on the air, but behind the scenes, sometimes there's a little different behavior, and I've witnessed that. During my travel ball coaching days, getting to know a lot of these coaches, a lot different than when you got that microphone in front of you.
I like that. So, okay, we know what's coming tomorrow at 5:00. Here's Auburn, who has been an incredible level of great at home, and they'll be at home tomorrow against a Kentucky team that has a world of talent, but for the most part has not been very good on defense. Let's start with Auburn. Why are they just taking people behind the woodshed at home?
Man, I did some research, George, because, Coach Pearl is known for a lot of things as far as on the court coaching. And one of them that I'd ask your viewers to really pay attention to at Kentucky is how great they are at defending the out of bounds play. Unbelievable how many steals they get. They get several. But what I noticed, and this is not a trademark that you usually see under Coach Pearl's team, is they're second in the country in opponents' field goal percentage at 37.9%, which is amazing. I didn't know that, but when I saw that, I thought, wow, he has really gotten buy-in. Because George, he runs, 10 guys in and off the court at any moment. And these guys are playing probably the hardest playing team that I've witnessed this season, because I feel that these guys are empowered. Each student athlete is like, play as hard as you can for 4 minutes. We'll give you a breather. If you're making a huge difference, we'll leave you in longer, but obviously get that TV timeout every 4. And the players have bought in from 1 to 10. I mean, even Aaron Holloway, a 5-star freshman, incredible player, I thought was just going to take the reins from game 1. But when he's in the game, he's very effective, but he's not getting 30-minute run per game. A lot of these guys are getting 20-plus minutes, and winning helps, but he's really keeping these guys inspired.
Okay, so when I say how many teams are out there that are capable of making the Final Four, in your mind, is Auburn one of them?
I think Auburn, if they continue to play defense the way they are, then I'm going to say yes, because they've got depth. If I feel that if Auburn would incorporate Jahani Broome even more, I would feel even better about their chances. But what I've seen, George, unless you've seen different, is they don't utilize him as much as I would like to see. But of course, I'm just a fan. But it says so how much talent he has inside and what a difference maker he is as a big. But I do feel if they don't play out of control, which is hard to say about his team because a lot of these guys are out of control. If they can play within the scope of the game that is going to be needed in conference and tournament play, I think they've got as good a shot as anybody on the outside. Now, are they a favorite for the Final Four? No. But are they one of the teams that you have to pay attention to? Definitely from the SEC, I would say for sure. Outside of them, and let's say I'll go with Alabama, and I'll also go with Tennessee and Kentucky. I think all these teams have an outside shot, but not – I don't think any of them are a shoo-in. Even Tennessee, I don't think they're a shoo-in for the Final Four. It's nice for the fans to see, oh, they're number 2, as far as in the field, as far as second seed. But can they get a 1? I mean, I think it just comes back to matchups, 1 or 2. If you look at UConn last year that won the championship, I believe they were a 4 seed, George.
Yeah. So let's take a point you just made about Janai Broome, young guy that I saw a lot of in the OVC when Belmont was in the OVC.
And Moorhead, yeah.
I happen to agree with you that they don't use him enough, but because part of the reason may be they get a lot of cheap points.
Yeah.
In particular at home, they get a lot of runouts where their guards take off and boom. But you get to the middle of March, starting with the SEC tournament, neutral site, NCAA tournament, neutral site. It all becomes half court, and you don't get anything easy. And I'm with you. If they're going as far as I think they can go, it's got to be more Janai Broome than less.
No doubt. And Coach Pearl's a much smarter person than I am as far as being a coach for his team and knowing what's best. He sees them every day. He knows the advantages and disadvantages of each particular player. But you've got to take advantage of Janai Broome. I mean, period. And they've got other guys to back him up. I mean, like you said, one of the things about Auburn that will change will be the slower paced game. So you won't see as many runouts. You're going to see defensive teams are going to maybe not only have one, what we call safety man, which is the back man. They may say one guy goes to the boards, 4 guys get back. So you change the pace of the game. And Auburn's a very much of an up-tempo type pace that they play. Not many games this season that you've seen them slow down. You'll see that in the tournament, especially if they play teams like South Carolina, who slow the tempo, make you work for your shots. It'll be interesting, but it will be fun.
Okay, let's get to Kentucky. 2 weeks ago, your school rocked their little world up at Rupp. Beat them around the way not many of us thought they could. Yeah. Then last weekend, I thought was a coaching mismatch. Mark Few took John Calipari to the cleaners.
Yeah.
And really what it appears to me to have boiled down to is if you will put some decent ball movement together against Kentucky, you can get whatever shots you need. Gonzaga, who I don't think's all that good, got anything they wanted. So how tomorrow is that going to be any different?
Unless their bigs rebound, George, and defend, it's not going to be different. I think what I've seen recently, I have seen increased intensity on the defensive side from the wings, but you're just not getting that from their bigs on a consistent level. I think you're going to see a huge mismatch for, once again, talking about Broome in the middle, inside if they go to him tomorrow. But you're right. I mean, there's going to be a lot of dribble drives, and you're just not seeing the adjustments that Kentucky needs to make on a consistent level. And it seems like defense is an option for them right now, and that's going to have to tighten up. If it does tighten up for Kentucky, I mean, they're definitely a threat because offensively they're one of the best offensive teams in the country. But you got to play defense if you're going to win championships.
That is going to be a wild atmosphere tomorrow down at Auburn. Feel like a football game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Tennessee Vandy tomorrow in Knoxville. It's the biggest spread I can ever remember that Vegas has put out there for that game, even in Knoxville, 21.5. Mark, my suspicion is that that on the Tennessee side, Coach is going to go back in film study to the first game when Vandy lit them up like a Christmas tree in the first half and basically say to his guys, if you don't take them for real, they'll do this to you again.
No doubt, George. And I was at that game and was very nervous after the first half because I was surprised how well Vanderbilt was able to move the ball, get shots. Tennessee wasn't able to defend. Stackhouse, once again, runs some great stuff, George, with inferior talent, unfortunately. But if you get Lawrence and Magnon going, that's what happened. And one of the things that I noticed in Nashville, I don't know if you picked up on this, but they backed down Zakai Ziegler and on the block with Magnon posting him, which I've not seen all season. So it was a great move. But I guarantee you, Tennessee will be ready for that this game because, like you said, they'll watch a lot of tape and make adjustments. I'm glad this game is in Knoxville. I'm really surprised it's such a high spread of 21.5, George. I was thinking maybe 14, but what do I know? But, last year Vanderbilt gave Tennessee a good run in Knoxville as well. Tennessee only won by 9. I know that's last season, but when you got it's still a rivalry game, and Tennessee's going to have to play consistent basketball, get more people involved. I think Tennessee has made adjustments when they were standing around just watching Connect do his thing, and you're seeing Josiah James, going to the basket more, being more effective. And even though people have been somewhat critical of Vescovy, what I've seen from him is improvement in his defense. And I think that's something that's been overlooked. Meshack, top defender. Adu, probably don't give him enough credit how agile he is. George, he's a right-handed player, but his best move's to his left. It's amazing.
He's becoming more and more of a force for them.
Yes, he is. And one thing I like to add for his benefit, earlier in the season, when you look at Tennessee's losses, when they lost, who do they go up against? You're going up against National Player of the Year player in Edey, and then Hunter Dickinson at Kansas. Of course, Edey's at Purdue, and then you've got Baycott at North Carolina. I mean, these guys are probably the top 3 big men in the country. So for anything, that builds confidence for Adu moving forward because he realizes, hey, if I keep working, I've seen the best. Now that I've seen the best, I know what adjustments I have to make. And the staff's definitely working with him to give him extra confidence moving forward.
Mark, take me through this. A week ago on Saturday, Tennessee got beat around pretty good at A&M. In most years, for a team that you say has Final Four possibilities, you would say, well, that's no Final Four team. But I look around, and some other Final Fours have gotten ripped around. Kansas got taken to the woodshed at Texas Tech Monday night. A couple of the others, Houston, got ripped at Kansas. What does that tell you about really what's going on around the country? And secondly, what did you learn in the A&M game that maybe concerns you?
Wow. Let me attack the A&M part. For the A&M part, I wasn't as frustrated with the loss other than it just looked like Tennessee was more tense and not applying the pressure that they needed to, especially with the guard play. Texas A&M is the worst shooting three-point team in the SEC, and they came out guns a-blazing. And it was shocking because how bad they are. They're one of the worst in the country. So when you go into the game knowing that, and then they go on a hot streak, then you have to make adjustments and then give Wade Taylor credit. I mean, he just took over the game. And then with their rebounding with Anderson, that, I featured last week as my MUP, most underrated, underappreciated player, had the game of his life. They just couldn't keep him off the board. So that's something that's concerning is the blocking out players, 50-50 balls, which we don't talk enough about. just the hunger for the game. It just looked to me, George, that A&M was more hungry. Now playing home definitely helps. No excuses for Tennessee. I just give Texas A&M credit because you don't know what you're getting with them. To me, they're a team that I don't know if it's going to lose by 20 or win by 15, George. A lot of these teams are consistent. A&M, I'm not sure what you're going to get.
Perfect example. They go to Memorial and lose.
Okay, and
Exactly.
let's talk about that for a second, Mark, because to me, at best for A&M, the week was a wash.
Yeah.
But I happen to think a loss at Vandy, given their net ranking, is more damaging
Yes.
than a victory over Tennessee at home is helpful.
No doubt, because George, we've all seen this on TV when it's Selection Sunday and they're posting the individual teams.
Bad losses.
Well, so Vanderbilt, you're going to get called out, and it's going to be for defeating A&M. Doesn't matter if it's at home or away. They may mention that, they may not. You may see the @ sign, but it's a loss, and it's a bad loss because it's a quad 4 loss. Even worse, you can lose games. You just if you're on the bubble, you don't want to have quad 4 losses. That really hurts you because, like I said, you're called out.
If you get to quad 5, you might as well resign. Since there is no such thing as quad 5. Okay. After the break, then you take over. You and Billy, whatever it is you've concocted.
ISO Griff.
I shall go.
It's up to Billy. He has to hit the right button. I'll follow him.
I'll go to the corner.
George, get to the corner. Griff, I'll get you the ball.
Right.
All right. Just don't disappear like you did before, George. Just make sure you're there.
Well, I'm not disappearing.
Unless you had a bathroom break or something.
No, I'm not disappearing.
Okay.
We're back with whatever Mark has put together with Billy. It'll be good stuff. I know that. So stay tuned.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back. This is a segment I love because I have nothing to do with it. This is Mark and Billy and whatever they have concocted. Mark, take it away.
All right, Billy.
Here we
All
go.
right, super. So we'll go with the SEC basketball standings, and I've kind of flipped the script a little bit in the past, as you know, really been heavy on the net rankings. We will feature a team today that in the mix for the NCAA tournament, but with 4 weeks remaining, now I want to go and focus on the SEC standings because I think this is vital, George, because with teams beating up on each other, hopefully trying to get wins on the road, it's like, okay, where do we fit as far as when and who teams may be matched up against in the SEC tournament? Now, some people will say, well, the SEC tournament or any postseason tournament's not important. Well, it's important for teams that aren't a lock in the tournament. And I think for any coach and student athlete that plays, you want to win every game, and that does include the SEC tournament, regardless of what Coach Calipari says every year when they're not in the finals. So with that said, kind of tried to separate, and Billy did a really good job of this. You'll see the first 4 teams, Alabama, Auburn, South Carolina, and Tennessee, are grouped in that first 4. And why that is important is because you get the bye and you don't play until Friday. And obviously the tournament will start on a Wednesday. If you're 11 through 14, like LSU, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, and Missouri, then you're going to have fans there on Wednesday night. And then everyone in between is battling for a spot and trying to, position themselves the best they can. So this is why I wanted to share this information.
And so 1 through 4, Bama, Auburn, South Carolina, Tennessee, in essence, get a double bye.
That's right.
And 11 through 14 have no shot. They will begin the tournament, and we will wave goodbye to most of them before Alabama gets to town.
That's a good point.
Which of those bottom 4, I know most people want to hear about the top 4, but which of those bottom 4, Mark, do you think has the best chance to maybe pull off an upset in their second game? Because we have seen that occasionally.
Well, it seems like the easy choice would be Arkansas, but I'm going to go with LSU.
That record, I feel like they're better than that record, maybe even a lot better.
They are as well. And I'll tell you why. They've had a lot of close games without going into all the close games that I'm familiar with. I've watched LSU several times with Cook and Baker, Jordan Wright, who I love, that left Vanderbilt. He's leading their team and just love him as a player on the court. I just think that, any team you can't overlook, but if any of those 4, as you asked, has a chance to pull off an upset, I'm going to go with LSU.
Okay. Georgia has sort of dropped down, and tomorrow seems to me, Mark, they play Florida in Athens.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that this is put up or shut up time for Georgia.
This is it. Now, what's interesting, Florida's really been trending up and been a hot team. And we're going to talk about one of their individuals here soon. But their guard play has been very, to me, surprising because they've had, several transfers who, we're not familiar with longevity-wise from Florida. So if they keep playing the way they are, and then Kugel comes off the bench, here's a guy that was projected as an NBA first rounder, not even playing 20 minutes a game for whatever reason, but they've really been clicking lately. And this could be one of the surprise teams outside of the, let's say, top 5. I'll include Kentucky in there. I think they'll move up. But Florida's a team that I really feel that you're going to have to look out for in Nashville.
So the first set, to be honest, I have not looked at Lenardi this week.
I did.
All of the top 4 are in.
Yes.
Florida and Kentucky are both in.
Yes.
A&M, I don't know what to think. You tell me. Where's he got him?
A&M is a 9 seed right now, but they've got who they have this weekend.
They got Alabama.
Alabama.
In
And they're on the
Tuscaloosa.
road. So that's going to be tough. It'll be a great matchup. Wade Taylor and Mark Sears can't wait to watch that. I think Alabama pulls away, but so they're they look like they could be trending south, George.
Mississippi State is a mystery to me.
Yeah, that's the one team. I looked up their schedule because SEC's never had 9 teams in the tournament. Lenardi's projecting 9 right now. If there's a team that falls off, either Ole Miss or Mississippi State, they're right there close to each other. Lenardi has Ole Miss as a 11 seed, the last 4 in. Mississippi State is a 9 seed. Next week, Ole Miss plays, I think it's at Mississippi State.
Oh, I know it is.
Yeah, Wednesday.
The one in Oxford several weeks ago was a classic.
Yes.
Where neither team could get a stop defensively in the last 12 minutes of that game. It was incredible offense.
Yes. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the loser of that, I feel, is not going to make the tournament.
NIT, baby.
NIT. I just don't think they're going to get 9. I think 8 is solid. 9 is a stretch unless Mississippi State does something in the tournament, upsets some teams, or if Ole Miss, if they lose in Starkville, does something in the tournament as well, maybe gets to the finals.
A lot of this is because of how good the Big 12 is.
Yes.
Mark, how many are they going to get in? At
9.
least 10? At least 9? Okay, so 9 right now, maybe even 10. 10 would be a lot. But the Missouri Valley, too, potentially being a 2-bid league. There's some bid-stealing leagues here that make it hard for the SEC.
Mountain West is the one doing all the stealing right now.
We're going to talk about Mountain West.
Is that where we're going next?
It's up to Billy.
Yes, we are.
Okay, you have to go to CBS Sports Network.
Every game.
To find Mountain West.
Yes.
There's one tonight that is big time.
Yes.
New Mexico, which is really good under Richard Pitino. Goes to San Diego State, which I don't think is as good as a year ago when they made it all the way to the final.
But but both of them are in contention right now. And Lenardi has 6 teams coming from the Mountain West. In the past, I featured New Mexico. Now we're featuring Boise State. So to give a little background, why Boise State, nothing but net? This is just not a household team for people in SEC country. Leon Rice, who came from Gonzaga under Mark Few, has been there several, 10 plus years. And this could be his 3rd straight season for Boise State to go to the tournament. They lost last 2 years in the first round. But when you look at this team, they have a favorable record moving forward, a 45 net, and Lenardi has them in right now. I just think that this is a team to watch. If they do what's expected, and they could maybe be they'll be one of the 6, which doesn't help a team like maybe a Mississippi State or an Ole Miss. So the way I watch this, guys, is I watch these other conferences because I'm like, if they do well and they steal a bid, whose are they stealing? And that's kind of how I watch these conferences right now. And I think Boise State's got a great shot. They've only had one not even a bad loss. It was a quadrant 3 loss. And they're 5-6 in quad 1 games. To give you perspective, I looked it up. Alabama's 3-6 in quad 1. Auburn's only won 2 quad 1 games, guys. And Tennessee is 4-5 in quad 1. So they're playing those top opponents and winning overall, which is why they have such a high net.
Leon Rice, the coach at Boise, has a son who's playing for him in the backcourt. And the son, to me, epitomizes what Boise State is, which is tough as nails.
Yes. No, you're right. I mean, they're fun to watch because they're gritty. You know, they're just a gritty team. I've seen them several times, like you guys have, I'm sure, and it'll just be fun watching the Mountain West. Now, let me just finish this with the Mountain West. Have you ever thought that the Mountain West would have more teams in the upcoming tournament if things keep going the way they are than the ACC, than the Pac-12? Well, right now they are trending to have that. The Pac-12, with Utah's loss last night, they may get 2 teams in the tournament, and that's Arizona and Washington State. That's it.
It's hard to believe, but you're dead on right with what you're getting at. Now, I know there's more to your work, so go.
MUP time.
MUP time.
Okay, this is a kid that transferred from Belmont, Will Richard. Talk to me about him.
Well, when I pick the most underappreciated player, I look for people who aren't the highest scoring players on the team but have big roles. And that's why I say underappreciated, because, you know, you see someone like a Dalton Connect or someone even like Walter Clayton that plays for Florida, or Poland that plays for Florida. They're your leading scorers, so they're really not underappreciated. Most fans know who they are. And Florida fans obviously will know who Will Richard is, but he's just someone that's like a glue guy, great athlete. George, you and I both saw him when he was at Belmont. Tough loss for Belmont, but you could see how athletic and a lot of untapped potential. And I'm really glad that he did move into SEC play, because I followed him. And I just like how he plays. He averaged like 11 points a game. He's got, you know, pretty good numbers as far as the statistics, field goal shooting and free throw shooting. But he's just steady. And I like these guys that are steady and consistent. I watched him closely in Knoxville against UT. I loved his body language. He's very coachable. So I know that the staff really appreciate him, and definitely the Florida players. And it'll be fun to watch him this weekend as well against Georgia, to see if Florida continue on the road of success that they've had recently. And someone like a Will Richards should get a lot of credit.
Mark, tell me this. One of the things that has really surprised me in this world of transfer portal is how many kids are, you know, a group of 5 and all of a sudden make the move to the big time, and not only are able to make it, but star on the big time level. Are coaches, first of all, on the Power 5 level, in their efforts to try to determine, okay, what level can this kid play at? Are they missing that much?
The coach is missing?
Yeah, I mean, why is a Janai Broom end up at Moorhead when clearly he's a stud in the SEC? You pointed to one a minute ago, the kid Marcus Damask that has gone from Southern Illinois to Illinois.
Yes.
Has killed it for Illinois. So as
Lance Jones.
Yeah. So is this simply that the Power 5 coaches are misevaluating, or is it that the group of 5s and lower are doing that good a recruiting job?
I think it's a combination. I think sometimes, you know, you get hung up on certain players, and, you know, you prioritize your recruiting efforts, that you've got level, let's say 1, backup 2, backup 3, because you have to have multiple backups when it comes to recruiting. You get that level 1 guy or first priority at a guard, you move on. Then you go to your next position of need. And that's how you fill your roster, George. And now with the transfer portal, what's different is you see these guys that may not have been big-time star players. They may have not played for big circuit teams. They may be underdeveloped. And then they come into like an OVC at Moorhead, like Broom, And you see these guys do such a great job at their level, but you see, does it translate into a higher conference to be a difference maker? And that happens. And what's neat for the coaches, and it may be frustrating for some coaches, is not only recruiting high school kids, which aren't tried and true, it may be easier, and I've heard this from coaches, it's easier to pick players from other conferences because you're actually seeing them in college play, and they've already made that adjustment from high school versus playing, ex high school on a Saturday night that, their biggest guy 6'4", and, let's say Broom's 6'10". So it's proven. And another thing to add to that I've heard is, you're developing relationships with these young men while they're in high school. And even though they may not be your level A, if they're a C for you or the third tier, you're still developing relationships. And if they go a different direction, you hope, like anyone in, like, say, business, that you maintain a positive, trusted relationship, because you never know down the road if you have someone that goes pro early or someone gets injured, someone else transfers. So you've got backups. I mean, it's like having a black book of address. You want to fill that black book up of as many people as you can for options when you need them, and build your team in that manner, and then build that over time to have longevity. So it's not just a quick fix.
I got to run. Thank you as always. Great stuff.
Enjoyed it.
Mark Griffin, former University of Tennessee star, with a great hour of college basketball. After the break, stat of the day, and then we'll talk with an old color analyst partner of mine. Samford Athletic Director Martin Newton will join us from Birmingham.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Samford Athletic Director Martin Newton coming up. But first, stat of the day. Brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, George, you ready to roll?
Yeah, I hope I can dump this one in Martin's lap.
We'll see about that. Now that she's got the NCAA record, Caitlin Clark is aiming for the all-time major women's college scoring record of 3,649, set by which player?
Oh, you know what? I've heard it, but I don't know it. Is aiming for the all-time. Go ahead and show it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and show it, because I don't.
Lynette Woodard.
It was going to, we'd have been here till midnight, and I wasn't going to get it.
You think Martin would have had a shot at it?
No. I don't think he'd have done any better than I did, but I'll say this. Loved working with him. For 2 years, we did Western Kentucky games on television together. It's really fun when you're in the play-by-play seat, when you know you can have fun with the color analyst. And Martin, we may not have been great, but we had a lot of fun.
But, there's a lot of truth to that, George, and the real truth in all that is we weren't, or we'd still be doing it.
Right. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, now the play guy was good. The color guy sucked, and that's why I'm an athletics director and no longer a color guy.
I was thinking later after you and I got off the phone this morning, there was a conversation. I had turned down East Carolina play-by-play, and I was 24, and your dad was pissed off at me. And so we have this meeting to hash this out, and he says to me, you young people have no clue what the hell you want. He goes, Martin is my responsibility. He says, now as for you, and then he goes, I think Tom and Sophie are tired of your crap and are trying to dump you in my lap.
Oh, goodness. He was a wordsmith, wasn't he?
Oh, my goodness. He was the best. So one of the reasons I wanted to bring Martin on here is Martin is part of the NCAA men's basketball selection committee. And I'm openly guessing here because I haven't looked it up. I'm guessing the only other father-son duo ever might be the Gavitts. Am I right?
No, the Gavitts, Danny is the head of the NCAA. He's vice president for NCAA basketball, but he was never on the committee with his father. Or he was never on the committee in that role as a athletic director. Danny worked in the commissioner's office as well. I believe Jim Schaus, who was the AD at Ohio U and Wichita State, his father was the coach of the Lakers, West Virginia. I believe he was on the committee early. So I think that's the only other father-son duo that was part of the basketball committee.
Martin, what I'm certain of is the day you got put on that committee, that your dad in heaven was smiling huge.
He was probably scratching his head, George, going, what the hell were they thinking putting him on that committee? But as you know him well, but no, I think he would have been proud. I really do. And it's been a lot of fun. I will say, for me, getting on the committee has that much more meaning because of being on the committee.
I know that, you came into this very prepared because you'd heard the stories from your dad of what it was like being on the committee. But even at that, what maybe has surprised you about what this job really entails?
We lost Martin
We lost him.
for a moment.
Okay, we'll try to get him back here in just a second.
Yeah.
And I'll probably give him some crap about needing to come with a better, phone carrier.
I'll try to get him back.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun over the years. And I've told the story. One night his dad came down to watch both of us. And it was a game against Wimp Sanderson's Little Rock team. And we had Coach Newton on for several minutes. And at the end, okay, we got Martin back. Martin, what is the biggest, even though you knew a lot going in, and you certainly knew a lot from your dad, what has been the biggest surprise for you that being a part of this committee entails that maybe you didn't fully appreciate?
Just the amount of work, George. I remember when Dad was on the committee, he spent a lot of time watching games. They provided him with, ESPN, and digital network, all that kind of stuff. But I didn't realize the amount of work. There's a lot more that goes to it. And the difference now, and probably when he was on the committee, is the analytics that are involved as well. So the watching of the games is still very important, but the analytics plays a big part in it as well. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, is just the amount of games you watch, the amount of work that you have to do. And then the other thing, quite frankly, is that it's much more than just selecting the field. We deal with the TV contracts. We deal with really anything that has to do with the tournament. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been very educational.
Martin, are you assigned, or are each of the members assigned either a certain group of teams or a certain conference that it's okay, you're the one that's going to recommend X conference and what we should do with them?
Not necessarily recommend, because each committee member has to, is keeping up with all, but we do have conference monitoring responsibilities where you have your primary for certain leagues and a secondary for other leagues, and they pair you up with other committee members. But at the end of the day, we will report on what the conferences are telling us. But you want each committee member to have his own opinion and have his own information that he brings to the table, as opposed to just somebody coming in and saying, look, you're in SEC country, this is what the SEC says and this is what I recommend. You want that committee member to have the autonomy to make those decisions himself.
Talk to me a little bit. You're an athletic director at Samford, and by the way, they're pretty darn good. I watched you guys a couple of nights ago, and you're certainly one of those teams that could get there. Talk to me about leagues that feel like they are one bid leagues, but all of a sudden, as Belmont did 2 or 3 years ago, got in as a second team. It doesn't happen very often, but talk to me about the level of debate that goes on when you've got a circumstance that warrants it.
George, the reality of it is that there's 32 automatic qualifiers. So there's 32 teams out of the 68 that qualify by winning their conference tournament in most cases, or their league. So the goal of the committee then is to select the 36 best teams that are at-large teams. And so that there's so much that depends on that. I remember several years ago in the Southern Conference, for example, we had Wofford had won 30-something games. They'd lost 3 games, undefeated in the league. Had they lost in our conference tournament, there was still a real good shot that they would have gotten in. However, that year there happened to be an upset in another league, a Power 5 league, where there was a bid stiller. right? Somebody who wasn't expected to get in the tournament, all of a sudden they won the conference tournament, won the AQ, so that took away a bid. So it really, it's a roll of the dice. I mean, you can have some years where there aren't very many bid stealers, and then you can have other years where the Power Five or whatever league that's got multiple bids, they may have somebody come out of nowhere. I think about Vanderbilt a couple of years ago. It comes out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they have the ability to steal a bid. So it's every year is different and every year is unique. But again, the primary responsibility for that committee is to select those 36 at-large teams and then seed all 68 teams.
Martin, you read my mind. I was going to parlay that into Vanderbilt last year. I don't think anybody could have predicted the run they went on, and I'm sure you guys had some serious conversations, in the committee room about that. But I think what a lot of Vanderbilt fans were confused by is that RPI is not it's still a tool, but it's not the tool now. Obviously, the net ranking is what everybody looks at. Coaches, you guys, fans are now required to look at that now. And I think that was a little bit confusing for Vanderbilt people to kind of mentally make that switch to, okay, net ranking is sort of the new RPI. How did you read that situation with Vanderbilt specifically, and kind of explain to people why that switch was made to more of an importance to the net?
Well, I think it's really important to remember that the net is just one evaluation tool. It is not the evaluation tool. It's just one of many. We look at a lot of different metrics. We'll look at non-conference strength of schedule. That's really important. I mean, I think for a lot of the committee members, who you played, where you played, and how you did. That's really important. And if you go out and you don't play a tough non-conference schedule, it makes it more difficult when you get down to the end as we're selecting, because I will tell you, when you get down to, 4, 5, 6, 8 teams, well, their resumes all start looking alike. So you're dissecting not only the net, but non-conference strength of schedule. You're looking at road records, how they did in neutral sites. If you've got a team that hasn't done well on the road, they win a lot of games at home, but they don't win well on the road, how does that play out in the tournament? So I just think it's really important not to get so focused just on the net. That is just one evaluation tool that the committee uses.
Okay, so not the tool, but a tool.
A tool, that's correct.
Okay, that clarifies it a little bit.
As opposed to your thinking that I'm a tool. Okay, thank you.
Well, that's a given. That's a given. We know that.
All we need now is Thompson to join us.
Yeah.
So, Martin, I've often wondered, and this is nuts, but here goes. If you had something like C-SPAN that televised all the stuff in the final 4 days, what do you think would surprise even us junkies who really watch a ton of this stuff?
I think the focus for the NCAA, and I know for the committee, is that student athlete experience. When you've earned your right into the tournament and you've earned your way into the Final Four, you deserve to have an unbelievable experience. And I think the things behind the scenes that the NCAA, the organizing committee, the host cities, I think they do to make this an incredible experience for the student athletes is really something that would surprise people. I mean, it's first class. And then I think just the overall thought that goes into making this a great experience for the fans as well. The reality of it is if you don't have a great, my dad used to say there's 3 things that make a good game, right? You got to have good players, you got to have good officiating, which, he would argue didn't happen all the time. I still think about the tennis ball at Vanderbilt in Florida. And then you got to have good fans. You got to have fannies in the seats and people that are energetic and excited. So I think making sure that student athlete experience first, but also the fan experience is done well.
Hasn't all this in recent years made the NIT better as well?
The NIT is interesting because if you look back, I go back to the late 60s, the 70s, the NIT in some ways was more prestigious than the NCAA tournament. You had teams, I think about Al McGuire, they were going to ship him off years ago. This would have been in the late 60s or 70s. They were going to ship him to somewhere on the West Coast to play in the NCAA tournament. He turned down the bid and ended up playing in the NIT. And so the NIT, although it's still a very good tournament, It doesn't quite have the cachet that it used to have. But I will tell you this. The teams that play in the NIT take it serious, and they want to win a championship. There's only 2 teams at the end of the year that are winning a legitimate championship, and that's the NCAA tournament and the NIT. And so those teams, when they get in that tournament, it's a big deal. Unlike, and again, I'm not picking on the bowl system, but unlike the bowl system where you see players opting out, and is it really as big a deal now? You're playing for a championship when you go into the NIT.
Martin, end it with this. And maybe as we've gotten older, I know I think about it more. I feel incredibly blessed that I've been able to spend a career in what I call the toy department of life, talking sports. It's not curing cancer. And you've been in different roles, able to spend an entire life in athletics. And when it comes to being an AD, being a part of that committee is about as high as it gets. Do you ever kind of stop and say, wow, this is what I've gotten to do. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll tell you, George, last year, the Sunday in between the semifinals and the finals, and I've got my wife, my daughter, her friend, my son, and my grandson, and the committee members, they take us all to the court, and we get to go to the court. Nobody else is in the building. There's nobody in the. I mean, you think about it. We're in the Texans stadium, and there's this court right in there. There's nobody else in there. The trophy's at half court, and we get to get basketballs and shoot and just kind of hang around. And I'm sitting there watching my grandson and my son shoot, and I did. I just kind of stopped and thought, wow, this is incredible. This is once in a lifetime. This is something that, just not everybody gets to do. And that's what sports has allowed me to do. And I was fortunate. I grew up with a dad that, number one, he was an unbelievable father. And you know that. You've been around him. And in some ways, he was a father figure to you as well. But I grew up with a great dad, but also just a dad that had just an incredible career in sport that allowed me opportunities to be able to do these kind of things. So I'm blessed. I'm lucky. And I have aha and wow moments all the time.
In my old age, Martin, one thing I'm appreciative of, and I never thought about it back then, was I had 2 great parents, neither of whom felt threatened by the fact that there might have been a third that entered the picture. They were never bothered by that. In fact, your dad was probably right. They probably wanted to dump me on him.
Well, he was wise in a lot of ways. He really was, and he was a good egg, as you know, George. And it's funny, my son is, and I don't know if you know this story, but my son, when I'm a junior, so when my son was born, we named him Zachary Martin Newton, I guess he was in about the 5th grade. He didn't understand why he wasn't named the third, why he wasn't named after a coach, as they called him, my dad. And I said, well, if you feel this way when you're 16, we'll change your name. Well, he wakes up on his 16th birthday, and the first thing he says, you know what today is? I said, yeah, you get your driver's license. And he goes, no, I get to legally change my name. And he changed his name to the third, and now he's had a son who is Charles Martin Newton the fourth. And what I'm really looking forward to, where it's really going to be the wow moment, is when I'm sitting up there and I've got a cane and I'm barely able to see the game, and I'm watching my grandson play in the Final Four. That's when it's going to be cool.
Oh my goodness! And I'm sitting there thinking about at the very end of my piece of that memorial service, and I said, and I want to thank the family and Martin and so and Zach, and I heard all y'all kind of snicker, and I was like, oh my Lord, what have I done? And I didn't know that legally he changed his name.
He changed his name. That's the impact my father had on him, and all of us, quite frankly.
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
He loved you. I know he gave you a hard time a lot, but he did it. Dad's way of showing you he loved you is if he gave you a hard time. And I've never seen 2 guys get as much grief as you and Mike Petroni. And the crazy thing is, George, you just kept coming back for more. So it was awesome.
It was the dinners when he Martin, when he was helping Trevecca go D2, those were the most fun because he came up here 6 or 7 times, and every time he did, we would have a dinner. And those dinners, he always had some theme that he wanted to. He was a talk show host without a signal.
Yeah.
And he had some theme that he wanted to argue with us about, and it was hilarious.
Well, my guess is, knowing you and Petro, both of you got alligator arms. Neither one of you paid for any of those.
Oh, no, absolutely not. That is the most accurate thing you've said all day. On that, I think we've got to find a way to go to a commercial. Martin, I can't believe you said that. I'll get even with that one at some point down the road. Hey, I hope you'll come on again and do this sometime, maybe before all this shakes out.
Anytime, George. I appreciate you, my man. Y'all have a great rest of your year.
Thanks. Great line, by the way. Oh, he's a good one. I had so much fun with Martin in the 2 years that we worked together. It was really, really cool.
Alligator arms.
Well, there's some truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. In fact, during the break, I may call him and share one of them. After the break, Greg Pogue will join us. He retired today. What is that all about? We'll find out next.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
I don't really know how to do this next segment. My buddy Greg Pogue, who I nicknamed years ago Pogue. Everybody else, it's Pogie, but I went with Pogue because if you spell it out, Pogue is the way it looks. And today was Greg's final day on WNSR after, help me, Greg, how many years?
Well, combined in the market, 24 years of doing something daily, and a few stops here and there along the way. Not as many as you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was, and thank and by the way, the one though that is still like, the Pogester is the one that you gave me, and that's still like my social media handle and all that stuff. So the Pogester was the one. Pagoo is that Pagoo is just you and I when we're hanging together. Yeah, Pogue.
Yeah. So, why are you getting out?
I'm not getting out. I'm just obviously what we're doing. Jeff Fisher and Tamara and Nancy and me. We're the ownership group of the Nashville Cats, so that's important. I'm now a grandfather for the first time, and also there's a young man that's in there, Patton Cook, who I could sit there another 3 years, but it was allowed him the opportunity. Him and John Burton will continue in that time slot, and 24 years is enough, and mainly though the main reason is to make you now the oldest person doing a daily sports talk show in Nashville.
I knew that was coming. I mean, listen, you've been telling everybody all week. Holcomb,
I know. You
Kelly
get the message.
Told me that you'd thrown that one out there. That is such
Watson. It is. Well, no, but the truth. Man, embrace the truth, George. Embrace the truth.
Well, okay, so I just got through with somebody else who has spent an entire career in sports. CM's son, Martin Newton, who's the AD at Samford. As we get older, we start thinking about these kind of things. How blessed we have been that we've had more fun at our jobs than most people because it's been entirely in sports.
Well, and it's the friendships we've made because of it. We are allowed a lot of access that most people aren't. Hold on, hold on, Robin. The barbecue is in the back.
No, that's certainly.
I just pulled in my driveway and I told my wife that the barbecue's in the back. Yeah, we're celebrating. Yeah, it's people don't know you. We're very privileged to do what we do, and however, it's not easy. People think we just show up and yak, right? A lot of reasons why I'm stepping away right now in a daily thing. Now I'm going to do projects. I'm going to do a lot of. I'm still going to do. I'm stepping away from WNSR on a daily thing, and I'm going to be on the air 5 hours there tomorrow, right? With my other things that I do. So I think we're blessed that we have been able to meet a lot of different people, and we've sort of become the conduit. We are the conduits, and the reason I think people like you and other people in the marketplace is because you're real. George, I don't think either one of us know how to be anything but who we are, right? And I think that's the most important part. I think people sense the realness of it and that we care, and it's okay to be real. A lot of people are so self-indulgent that they don't understand why people like them.
Well, I've always thought there are a couple of things. First of all, I miss the interaction with people. This medium has made it hard to do phone calls. That's something I really miss because I enjoyed, as you have had, the interaction. There's certain people who we turned into rock stars in the radio business, right at the top of it. is my buddy Kenny the mailman.
Vandy Lance. I mean, and they took on their own personas, and we had a thing out at Strike and Spare. I know, you and Larry Schmitto do the wonderful thing out at the Hermitage Strike and Spare every year. And I had my last show today out there, and, everybody sort of has their own moniker, right? And their own identity. That doesn't mean they're not who they are, but yeah, it's, and then, we go back to like a Gator J, or there's all of them. I think we've lost that component, quite frankly, of where the marketplace is. I don't know how many ways I could listen to 92% of the punting depth chart for the Tennessee Titans. Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm glad you got that out there.
Yeah.
So what was your final day like? Because I wasn't able to hear it.
I showed off.
What does that mean?
I had Vince Gill and Jeff Fisher together at the same time.
Okay.
I had Pete Weber and Larry Schmitto on, and you can imagine the minor league baseball, Buffalo Bison stories that Pete and Larry could share, and a few other people came by. Other people were too busy to come by, like you.
Oh, no, I made look, I got word to you that I couldn't. However, let me.
No, I know. We talked this morning.
I was not invited to be a part of it. I certainly would have found time in my busy schedule.
I don't think that to be an accurate statement, quite frankly.
Really?
Because you called this morning to decline the offer.
No, I was just telling you I couldn't be there.
Okay, there.
So so you had a party after.
Well, I bought people lunch. Yes.
Oh, I didn't buy anybody anything.
Well, you haven't quit.
But I have been through that. And if you remember, when I left to go to Belmont, I, quote, retired, even though I knew at the time that there would be a day that I would come back on radio. The Predators, like you did today, mine was at Barrel House at the arena. And I'll be honest, my biggest fear was in trying to say thank you to people that I would not be able to spit it all out. I had a big fear of that.
I won money on you returning to radio, by the way.
Did you?
So thank you. Yes, I did.
Okay.
It was a minus 250 that you would return, so I had to pay it.
DraftKings.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
this is so heartwarming.
Yeah. Well, no, and I don't know if I'm a radio guy who was in the newspaper business, a newspaper guy who did radio. I just only done what I know how to do, and I'm not, I'm still going to be busy. There's things that I've you got to, and you're doing it right now. In essence, you don't know this. The thing at Belmont, the thing now, the way you're approaching the medium is where the landscape is going is right now. You can never be afraid to keep reinventing yourself. And because if not, people will grow weary of you. So.
Oh, I think they've long since done that.
With you, George,
yeah.
you're like that, you're like that painting on the wall. Every time, every once in a while you got to go, make it, fix it straight, but you're still there.
Well, that's lovely. Wow. So you don't think you'll ever get back to doing this again?
Daily? No.
Never.
I don't. In this marketplace, I think I've got to be able to do it. I have to be able to come in there knowing what I need to know. I don't give a rat's ass who the Titans hires defensive coordinator. I really don't care. And I don't need to break down who their special teams coach, who they hired today, who's probably not qualified, but that's okay. Because,
wow.
A few years ago, he was just a backup, special teams guy at Montana, but I don't need to go into that, do I? Anyway, so no, I don't really care to keep up with the topics of the day anymore. I'll choose my topics.
Okay, well, fine. Give me a last thought on the arena football.
Nashville Cats. Nashville Cats, April 27th. Hey, tomorrow, George, you didn't. If you ever checked your email, we asked you to be a judge for our dance team tryouts tomorrow. Our player tryouts are a week from tomorrow at Lipscomb Academy, 9:00. It's $75 in advance, $100. We've got people coming from all over the country for this. We just signed the most prolific quarterback in Baylor football history, who threw for over 10,000 yards in his career there.
Does he have a name?
Yeah, it's Homer Drew. I don't have a name. You caught me. I shouldn't even.
Is it Charlie Brewer?
Yes, it is.
Okay. See, I still keep up. Had a lot of concussion issues, tough as nails.
Charlie Brewer threw for over 10,000 yards at Baylor, and then 4 years. And then went 1 year at Liberty, because you can do that now. And he's signed with the Nashville Cats.
Beautiful. April 27th.
Yep, it's 5 of the 5 home games there, 1 up at F&M Bank in Clarksville, and we will be. You really, I don't even know the way to say it, but we want to spend some money with your little business there.
Yes, we certainly will gladly accept. Pogue, more importantly, I just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you. This is a big day, a big turning point for you, and knock 'em dead.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
that was it?
No, I didn't. You skipped for a minute. No, thank you. And you played a large part in opening the door for me on many, many levels at many different times. And, you know, you're one of my dear friends, and you are an icon in this market. And you're like a boat that was going down the stream, and the waves off from it. And you've impacted a lot of people, including me. Thank you, George.
Well, you're nice to say that, Pogue. You've been a great friend. I know we're going to deal with each other a lot. Hopefully next year my underdog picks are better than yours.
I hope not.
I hope they are. Talk to
see
you.
You. All right, see you guys.
See you. It's a good man right there. Greg Pogue, final day on WNSR after years and years.
Congrats to him.
I'm telling you, he's put a lot of work into this arena football thing. And Charlie Brewer, very interesting name. That kid, I've watched him a bunch. Tough as nails, has had a lot of concussion issues, but if he's healthy, he'll provide some entertainment.
Yeah, I want to say he was the one that beat Vandy in that Texas Bowl, or was that a different?
Pogue, if you're watching, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down.
I think I'm almost positive he was, but I remember watching him in that game.
Yeah.
And he's a runner too.
Yes, he is. It's gotten him in trouble a couple of times. That's where he's gotten hurt a couple of times. Okay, we ready to go plaster bet of the day, which once again, the rumors of my demise are so overblown. I am red hot.
Are you just going to kick Kelly off now that you're winning? I mean,
well,
ever since he hasn't been on the show yesterday and today,
I have killed it.
Bart Durham Injury Law. Give him a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. Let's take a look at what happened last night and
let's do
what has happened this week.
Oh,
and George,
yeah. Look at that right-hand column.
What have you been eating for breakfast?
So Middle rallied late, and I didn't get to see it, so I don't really know what all happened. I know they were down double digits in the first half.
I want to say they ended up winning by almost double digits, I think.
North Texas, mentally tough team. Somebody better wake Memphis up, because that team has got too much talent to be kind of in this quagmire that they're in. When the NCAA calls Memphis's name, it will not be with the seed that their talent ought to get.
So what's seed? I mean, Are they on the bubble? Or because
I don't think they are.
Okay.
I haven't looked in a while. Last time I saw they were a 6.
Okay.
But they got too much talent for lose to Rice, lose to South Florida, really not be all that close to winning at North Texas.
Yeah, they got to figure something out.
Okay, let's run through where I'm going this weekend because there's several plays. I'm feeling I'm on a heater.
Here we go.
I don't know any other way to say it.
Where are you going first?
Well, you need to pull it up. Okay. This is the largest spread I have seen in this rivalry. Normally, 10 or less for either team. I think Rick Barnes has probably spent the better part of the last 48 hours saying, guys, they scared the crap out of you in Nashville in the first half. If you remember, Vandy was up, I think, 8 at the intermission. And I'm sure he's saying, don't fall into this trap. They don't belong on the same floor with you. And I think even though I hate these kind of spreads, I think Tennessee has something to prove in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vandy will probably cover just because his teams, they don't usually get blown out. I say that. They got blown out by Kentucky. But I don't know. Part of me would be surprised if Tennessee covers that.
Move on.
Not that
That's
one.
not it.
We're going here. Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina got beat by 40. And maybe that's a good thing that they come home and refocus because they probably have gotten a little fat and sassy at 21-4. But all of a sudden they got humbled. When you lose by 40, it forces you to do some recalibrating. And I think they have. And I think tomorrow in Columbia, even though that's a higher spread than I'd be comfortable with, South Carolina covers.
Tonight?
Okay. New Mexico is the underdog. New Mexico is the better team on a neutral site. The game is at San Diego State. I don't know that New Mexico wins, but they will cover. This will be a heck of a game. If you're bored and want to see a really good college game tonight, that's it right there. New Mexico covers.
Okay. And we've also got this one right here.
I never thought that I would buy into this. But unless Kentucky plays a level of defense that is way better than they have been, Auburn will get whatever shots they want. And while Kentucky's offense will keep it close, they're not going to win at Auburn.
Yeah, I've got Auburn here. Auburn's a lock.
Well, I don't go lock very often. I thought I had one a week ago. It was called Kentucky against Gonzaga.
The way Auburn plays at home and the way Kentucky doesn't guard anybody, this could get ugly.
Could, although I think on the other side, Dillingham will go crazy in this game.
Yeah, he might.
He'll end up with about 30.
Yeah.
Is that the last one?
Yep.
I thought I went Georgia. But you know what? That's good because I don't need to go Georgia. Because that's a really iffy proposition.
Yeah.
Okay. I was checking the weather. When I look over here, it's because there's a TV on. They're saying that we might get a little something, but it will all end by 10 o'clock tonight. Upwards of a half inch to an inch up on the Kentucky border. Here, I don't think there's anything to worry about. All of you have a great weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday. Kelly Holcomb will join us. Billy, I know you're excited about that.